Hello and welcome to the Neurodivergent Social Work Voices campaign. I am Florence Smith, the neurodivergent social worker and your host. If you've stopped in to listen, there must be a reason why. Maybe it's to listen to and learn from the first-hand experiences of neurodivergent, or as I like to call us, neurosparkly social workers, on how you can create a neuro-inclusive workplace. Or maybe you're seeking advice from other neurodivergent social workers about what works for them. Whatever your reason, it's nice to have you here, because for 1 month we will hear from 19 neurosparkly social workers. The conversations will explore 19 journeys, 19 unique neurological profiles, and 19 tips for other neurosparkly social workers. So, why has this campaign been launched? Well, it's been done with the vision to raise awareness, share knowledge, celebrate neurodivergence, as well as increase representation of neurosparkly social workers across the profession. You can find us everywhere from students, social work assistants, frontline professionals, educators, and managers. So today I'm talking with Charlotte, a dyslexic, autistic and ADHDer social worker. Hello, Charlotte.
Hi, Florence.
Charlotte, please could you tell the listeners and me a little bit about your current role in social work?
Okay, so for the last 10 years, I've been working with looked after children in a local authority in South Wales. And we work with a whole range of children up to 18 and people up to 18, which includes also young people who are asylum seekers and homeless young people, as well as other young people like in residential homes and placed back with their parents and foster care and things like that.
Thank you, Charlotte. And have you predominantly been at one local authority, or have you worked in other areas?
So I've worked for 10 years in this local authority, and before then I was 7 years in another local authority where I live actually. I was in the Children's with Disabilities team in that one before then.
So quite a range of experience. And please could you tell me a little bit about your neurodivergence or how your brain sparkles?
So I think probably one of the main positives for me is I see lots of details. And whilst I have to filter all those details out, it means I can pick up on things that other people miss sometimes and go, "Oh, I didn't notice that. I didn't think of that." And so that's one of the main advantages I find. I think, I think that's one of the main detail things.
And it's perfect for social work as well, details.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like a bit a bit too much, and I go off at a massive tangent because I've got everything in one go and things. But yeah, when I come back, I can see more things, so it's quite helpful sometimes for assessments and being a bit creative and things. My kids finding different options and stuff like that.
What other particular strengths do you have from your neurodivergent brain?
I think those are the two main strengths. It helps me think outside the box a bit, and I can see other people's perspective and points of view from maybe a different angle than other people can who aren't neurodivergent and things. And the detail really. I mean, yeah, like you were saying before, there are a few challenges because of the differences. But
would you mind talking a little bit about a few of those challenges?
Yeah, I think some of the main challenges is that the structure of the system is very much set up for people who can process things very quickly, filter out things very quickly. It does take me a little bit longer to filter things out and communicate that in speech that makes sense. So I have to prepare, plan a lot to manage, sound like I make any sense whatsoever. And I guess it's quite it can be exhausting and things. Like the office, it's like I love seeing people I work with, and I like, like in the office and things. But it's really tiring because the lights are bright and it's noisy, and I can't get any work done, and I can't think. So sometimes I wear my sunglasses in the office, which people say I look like the Blues Brothers sort of thing. But it is, there's those things, and I guess it's just like I get on really well with everyone in my team, but there is a difference that it's harder because you can't see the differences and the difficulties. Then actually that bit can be isolating, if you like, because you have to adapt without people realizing you're adapting and things. So,
and I get in that assumption from workplaces or people that assume neurotypical rather than kind of assume neurodiversity, that actually we might all be different.
And just that the extra amount of effort and everything that goes into just being able to go into an office and do things and stuff. Quite a challenge. But
I was also going to say the extra effort of organisation that I know we spoke about earlier as well, when you said that you are quite an organised person. And off of the recording, we were speaking about organisation as well. And although it can look like we're organised, there's an kind of a massive amount of effort that goes into that organisation. And if it slips, kind of even the feeling of disorganisation is very exhausting as well.
It is, and the anxiety that that causes, and then you have to then put more energy into managing that sort of thing and stuff. And I think as part of it, like if one little bit of the organisation slips, which if you've got quite a lot going on and you don't take the breaks throughout the day you need and things, then actually what other people see is just what's wrong with her, why can't, not actually, actually that's just part of that condition. So the understanding and the allowances, not that we should be really disorganised, I'm not saying that, but the allowances aren't there. Like if someone maybe, I don't know, had broken their leg and couldn't necessarily drive a car anymore, that sort of thing, it's just different. So, and I think they wouldn't see that a reduced caseload as a reasonable adjustment. They would see that as not being able to do the job. So, it's how everyone else views what's possible and what's not possible, and just the differences really.
And thank you for raising that as well, Charlotte, because that's actually really important. Is actually kind of how does others' views on reasonable adjustments impact the reasonable adjustments that are given to us? Because actually that is reasonable, it's in line with our needs and our processing. But kind of if other people were to look at it and think, oh, but why have they got that and I haven't? Or like you said, the perception of they may appear to not be managing against a neurotypical norm, when actually they're just managing things differently and need less of that caseload to be able to look like it's easy sailing.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's very much dependent on management's understanding and ability to put that into practice, their understanding into practice as well. And I think if you have a manager who also struggles with organisation but needs to present that she is on top of everything, then what I've found is actually you're buffering up their stress, their anxiety, their struggling, their difficulties with organisation and things, whilst trying to manage obviously, supporting your family's anxieties and things, and then managing your own anxieties. And for me, I've been finding that quite difficult thing. But it's just how the system and the hierarchy work, isn't it, really? So,
yeah, very standardised as well, isn't it? But that leads us quite nicely on to question 2. Charlotte, please could you tell me a little bit about your experience of social work practice?
Could you be a little bit more
Specific?
quite general? Yes, please.
Yeah, of course.
Only because my brain will present me with like 25 different possible questions to then answer, and we'll be here all night. So,
No, that's absolutely fine. One prompting question that I've got down here is, what good or bad practice have you seen from employers?
I've got another manager now for a couple of weeks before I leave. I've got there's a few managers in the team, and she's been very good. She's put in a check-in for me so I can because I process through talking, to be honest. And she has agreed that I can do, when I'm on duty, I can do duty from home. And then if needed to do any visits or anything, I can go, because I can get to the office, just like we all did in COVID. I can go straight there from home, sort of thing. So I can get work done, because I've got quite a lot to do before I finish my current job. So she's allowed that, and she's let all the seniors on duty know about that. So for me, that's quite good practice, and that's reasonable practice. And she responds quite quickly, so I don't have to for like authorization for things like that. So that helps quite a lot. So she's also very clear, and what she says is what she says, and she moves on. So for me, that is very helpful. There's no grey bits in between. Yeah,
that's really handy, because having that quick response, so we're not kind of sitting in an anxious place of, was that a reasonable request or not?
Yeah.
But also having that kind of like firm answer of yes, definitely, or no, definitely, really helps.
And it also helps with organising and planning the work for a particular child and your day for each child, because you're not stuck on one specific bit of information or authorization for something that they need, that sort of thing. So that's very helpful. And being able to work from home on duty means I can get stuff done, and I'm a better practitioner because I can think better. I can manage my environment here, and then I am actually more effective than if I was sat in the office. So.
And you mentioned earlier about one of your strengths being creativity. I was wondering, what does that look like in your social work practice?
So I guess it's about different ways of finding resources for young people. And that's what I was kind of thinking, different solutions and that sort of thing. And so if I can see a detail, if I pick up a detail or something, then I can actually think through that detail, and that gives me another solution. I can't think of like specific examples. I have got them, but that sort of thing and stuff. So that's
absolutely fine not to have a specific example, because to me, that as a dyslexic person, that rings a lot of dyslexia in there of okay, I've been asked a question and I need to recall this information, but my brain's just a black box right now. It's completely empty. And you might know there's loads of examples in there, but being able to pull it out in the moment's not always.
I can't even get the words, let alone in the sentence. So
no, that's okay. So drawing on kind of, I guess, the reasonable adjustments that you were talking about with your manager, are there any other reasonable adjustments that they've provided for you?
So before I did apply to Access to Work, they did provide some equipment. I've got the dragon speaking thing, and that can be quite useful. And they also recommended coaching. Access to Work did, and that's been quite useful and things. So
Fantastic. Could you tell me a little bit about what the coaching is and kind of what it does for you?
So it's coming to an end a bit now, actually. So it's helped me because I've also just been quite recently diagnosed with ADHD and being autistic. So it's helped me process that and actually help me work out how I can adapt things within the workplace and what is okay to ask for, what's not, what's reasonable, what's not reasonable, um, and to build my knowledge bank of like boundaries and things for practice and things in general. So I find just because I I process most things by talking, and you can't talk to someone all the time every day, to process things. It's a strategy, just like a piece of equipment is. Actually, it works for me. It's worked in the same way, and I develop my own strategies, sort of thing, through talking. But yeah,
I'm also a verbal processor, and
yeah,
sometimes if I ask a question out to the room in the office that I work in, kind of by the end of it, I may have figured out what I wanted, but had I have tried to kind of ruminate on that in my own head, I wouldn't have been able to sift all of the information.
very yeah. And I think because like our team, quite a few teams where we are is they're still mostly home based, really. Then you are sitting by yourself. So actually those check-ins, so that has helped quite a lot. And because I haven't had someone like regular supervision and things like that, then your processing can get a bit clogged if you haven't got that, really. So
Definitely. Thank you. And thank you for sharing your lived experiences of kind of social work practice and your reasonable adjustments. The final question that we have for today is, what advice would you give to other neurosparkly/neurodivergent social workers?
um so I think is what each person is comfortable and confident in doing. If there's something that you feel that would be helpful and of benefit, um, to let your supervisor or manager know of, then I would plan how you'd want to let them know um, what specific thing you have a difficulty with and the reasons why, and maybe exactly what could help you and things. So for me, it's about having the confidence to being able to say and the reasons why, not in a way of, or I've got all these difficulties and I'm really sorry. You're gonna have to do all of these things, but actually, it's just a different way of working, and my brain works a bit differently. But however, um, if we could do this, this, and this, then that makes a big difference. And just by promoting as much awareness, but in like a neutral, stroke positive way, then actually I think that can help, and things. Because otherwise, it doesn't matter who you work with, people won't understand the difficulties or what's going on or the exhaustion or anything. As nice as people are and things, unless they have those direct experiences and processing, same way of processing things, people aren't going to understand it. So it's just about if you feel comfortable about promoting general awareness and what you need to be able to do the job thing. So
Thank you. And thank you for sharing. And I'm going to ask one prompting question in this one. I could be a bit naughty. That you were very kind of strong and led with your strengths. I was wondering if you had any advice for neurosparkly social workers on how you came to recognise your strengths.
to be honest, through through the coaching, and through someone else who I know at work who knows a lot about autism and has got a mother who's autistic and two daughters who are autistic and things like that. And yeah, and just over the time, I can see see those things really and stuff. Yeah,
So it's kind of
by the talking
yeah,
process.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it does for me, and it's still, to be honest, they're the only things I can see at the moment, and it's been quite recent, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I need to be able to see a bit more of a balance, but those are the things I can see at the moment, if you like. And I think for me, it's important to try and, well, for me, I struggle to remember that, but it's important to try and remember that for me because, like in the workplace, actually on a daily basis, you can feel the opposite, and you can just remember the difficulties and then how other people react about something because your communication style is slightly different. And so it's about, yeah, remembering and reminding yourself, actually, this is just a difference in what your brain works. And okay, so I might not have realised they think that way and I think this way, but you just like put it in your bank of knowledge sort of thing, and then
yeah.
that sort of thing. But it's not like, yeah, it is about taking yourself out of it a little bit and going, oh, actually, it's not as negative as sometimes you can feel it is when you're bogged down in it, and you can see the differences sometimes, and all of that sort of thing. So
That's it.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
try and think of our kind of neurosparkly strengths as like a secret pocket in our toolbox. I know when I was going through social work training, they often spoke about like our toolbox of kind of skills, knowledge, direct work. And since kind of thinking about my neurosparkliness and neurodivergence a little bit more, I kind of now try and visualize a little bit of a hidden pocket. So if there are challenges, I try and pick a strength out of that hidden pocket to use as much as possible.
that's a good way of looking at it.
Charlotte, thank you for giving your time to celebrate neurodivergence in social work and for sharing your lived experiences. And thank you to everyone who has listened. If you're interested in learning more about neurodivergent social workers and neuroinclusion, please check out the Neurodivergent Social Worker website and the British Association of Social Workers Special Interest Group. The link to the website and the special interest group will be in the description below. Thank you.